name's Krashone. The company's called On Kim. I was born fresh, but On Kim cultivated my style. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm a graphic designer. Hip hop extraordinaire. Anything that encompasses hip hop, that's Krashone. That's your name, brother.
Can you tell me about your customization that you do?
Okay.
You know, you can, at the end we're going to take you through holding up the shoes,
Right.
like we did with Sean, but right now, kind of talk me through what customization is and what aspects of customization you do. Because some dudes, do different parts of that customization.
I got you.
So can you speak to that?
All right. There's not a time that I don't remember not being creative. I've been customizing. Oh my goodness, I'm 45, so just thinking like 40 years. Put it that way. Artists in every sense and degree, cut and sew, painting, pastels. Back in high school, I actually used to go to school in the neighborhood over in Hell's Kitchen. Graphic communication arts, we call it printing. I used to do a lot of stonewash denim for a lot of ladies that I went to school with, and like bleaching. And this is the Swatch Wash era and Reebok Pop Top era. And I got into doing the Reebok 5411s, which is the freestyle. I would dye them with this dye called Dye Bright or Dye Bright. They come in like their color palette is ridiculous. You can get it at your local drugstore. I just get busy, man. I remember taking Pentel paint markers and coloring my Adidas stripes, as a kid and everything like that. So I've always been customizing, airbrushing, painting by hand. So I've always been customizing to make my own little niche, just a little bit different. First of all, where I grew up at Brownsville, Brooklyn, you didn't really have much, but what you did have was your style and how you stood out. And I definitely stood out. I didn't like having the same thing that somebody else had. So let's say someone had a white and blue pair of Cortez. Well, that white and blue pair, I would switch up the laces, right? Instead of all white laces, I might throw a blue pair of laces to go with the check on the side. Or if we go on a local avenue, Belmont Avenue, we had stores like Simon's and Harry's, and they would get limited edition special colorways. So that's where a lot of the creativity comes from. Like, oh, you could do that? So let's say you got a regular pair of Shelter Adidas white on white. I want those lime green joints right there with the pine green check, and then trick them out with some pine green fat laces. Right? So that's where that comes from.
That's really important what you're talking about, because a lot of guys don't realize that customization is not something new. It started with customization. Because we wanted to be unique. Now it's kind of changed, not everyone be rocking the same thing. Can you speak to that? Because one of our questions that we ask is where did the trend of customization start? Can you take it back to that, in the B-boy era, when you didn't want to be rocking it that same?
Definitely. Well, you can even go back to even like Playboys and the Wallabies shoes, and the British Walkers. Like, cats used to. The whole customizing came from, like, if you had a certain color sheepskin that you got from Delancey Street, you had to have a certain color pair of Playboys or your British Walkers or your P.A. Cardans to go with said leather bomber, right, or your sheepskin. It wasn't just how, it's cookie cutting now where everything's a uniform and you pieced this together. You thought this out. You slept on this. The first day of school, the first thing you started with was your sneakers at the bottom of the couch, and then you went up your pants, and your Lees or your Wranglers, right? And then you go to your Tigra or your Azai shirt. You started from the shoes on up, not from the shirt on down to the shoes. First day of school, you had everything laid out, but you started with those kicks, and your kicks had to be right? So with customization, you can even go with laces. I remember dudes taking strips of denim and making laces out of denim jeans, old denim jeans, and cut strips to just make fat laces, just to give like a little frayed edge on it, just to make it look different. Or if your kicks were kind of beat up, you would put in new laces because that would breathe a new pair of life in it. You kind of wipe down the skid marks off, like the lace holes and everything like that. But that's still even a form of customization. The airbrush era really started with some brothers called Shirt Kings. The Mighty Fade, Kasim, and Knight. They used to work out the Coliseum in Queens. And they did something for everybody in the 80s. If you were a hustler, if you were a rapper, if you were a mom and pop, they did it all. They did everybody's airbrushing. So customization didn't just start just from the sneakers. It started more so with the gear. Whether it was your hat, getting the Playboy joint in your hat, or you got your sweatshirt and go with the letters pressed on and shorty doo-wop, and then your girl had, Papa Smurf, Baby Smurf. That's where this customization first started coming from. And then it just branched. It was like all just like already married together. So you would paint the checks or the stripes on your sneakers. Lotto was the first one that enabled you to customize just off the cuff without you having to paint or anything. Because they came with these little Velcro, little logos that you could switch off, but they were actually athletic shoes that was like for like college teams. So every college team got their own colorway, blue and gold, red and white, whatever. And so when the Lottos came here to America, that was it. Like, that kind of was a little niche to it too. And they were kind of a fad shoe. We came in with everything like that, but it still has its mark. But the more important mark that it left was that you were able to customize and make it uniquely yours. Maybe you didn't want no color on your all-white shoe, so you would take the Lotto logos off. Maybe you want to switch it up. You got one side to be blue, the other side to be red. Or maybe you wanted one side yellow, one side green. Right? And then it goes from there, and then it just snowballs to a whole other effect. When I really got into customizing, from when I was in high school, when I would do the 5411s, I would actually get a crock pot, like how you cook stew and you boil crabs and things of that nature, and I would put the dye in that and just immerse the whole shoe. They had to be white on white, and they couldn't be worn. I wouldn't be nobody that had their foot in it, because you're going in the pot, right? White on white, crispy clean. When you boil those shoes, and this also too, another thing, how shoes are made. For whatever reason, the glue they used back then, that like, I don't know, like titanium steel, like it lasts, it could go through different temperatures and elements. It could go through cold, it could go through a high heat. If you boil it so it gets into everything, to where the dye will even get into the rubber sole. And this is why a lot of guys, when you move forward to like the late 90s, early 2000s, with the boom of everybody customizing Air Force Ones, they really wasn't able to do the sole because they didn't understand how to, one, prep, and then two, set, which is very important. Because you don't want to do a dope custom shoe and you walk out the house and then 2 minutes later, it looks like crap, right? You're stepping wrong, you gotta step right.